So there's a quote that says, men chase women, not the other way around. And it goes on to say some other things, but I don't want to talk about that. What I want to focus on is this idea of men needing to chase women. And the reality is that many of you have been told that, to let that man chase you. And you're trying to figure out, how do I make that work? How do I make this happen? But there's a lot that comes with this that I don't think is being properly explained. And I want to dive deeper into that. Now, this video was prompted because I received a DM from a young lady who came to me about her struggle with being told that when she meets a guy that she really likes, that you should make him work for you, because men appreciate what they have to work for, what they have to put energy into. And she said the struggle is for her that she doesn't want to have to make a man do that, because it's in her nature to want to love and pour out. And she feels like it's such a conflicting thing that she has to basically fight herself on. So she wanted to get my guidance on it. And I said, okay, you know what? Let me do a video and she encouraged it, because the reality is that so many of you are facing this issue or being told this is the way to go. So I'm going to give you the ultimate answer, but let's start breaking this stuff down. So number one, let's talk about the idea that men are hunters and they like a challenge. So here's the thing. In general, this is a true statement. What I mean by that is, yes, I do believe that most men, the average man, is wired to desire a level of challenge, wanting to conquer something. This feeds a man, you could say, his ego. It makes him feel accomplished. He feels good. And so a lot of men pursue this, or pursue getting this fix, so to speak, in various ways. Some men are very much into sports. And this is where they can get that challenge and that chance to conquer something. They may get into fighting like boxing or UFC or all these various things, right? And another common one that you see a lot of times is men playing video games. Because the reality is that in playing video games, and I'm not sitting here saying men should be all consumed by video games, because I know some of y'all hate it, right? I'm just saying that the reality is that many of them find that challenge in the video game and that chance to conquer. But the problem is we're applying this mentality and this truth to relationships. And this is where things get a little tricky. Because let's go back to the example of men liking video games. So picture it for a second. Man, young or old, whatever, into his video games, finds this new video game that he wants really bad. And his whole thing is to beat this game. And he may spend days and hours and weeks and months just trying to pour everything into conquering this game. And then once the man finally reaches the pinnacle and beats the game, what does he do? He throws the game away and looks for a new game to play. So for you as a woman to believe that men want a challenge and something to conquer and something they have to put their work in when it comes to relationships, where you're asking him to transfer this mentality he has with video games onto you. Do you want to be conquered then thrown away? Because when you look at situations where men have chased women, this happens a lot. It gets to a point where he goes super hard trying to get you. He'll jump through all your hoops. He will, run through any obstacles you put in his way. And we will discuss later in the video what's driving a man in many cases to do all that, because it's not what you think. So please keep watching. But he does all that, finally gets the woman, and then now the effort stops. Now it's your turn. Because in that man's mind, once he's conquered his game, once he's conquered this challenge, he's supposed to just reap the rewards. It ain't no continuously working. Working for what? I did all the work to get you. Why do I need to keep doing all this work to keep you? That's how he's going to process it in many situations. Now, are there exceptions to the rule? Yes, but those exceptions usually aren't healthy. And again, we'll get to that. So I bring this point to you to make you aware of the fact that when we're talking about relationships, romantic, healthy relationships, we really should not want or encourage men to approach it from their innate desire for challenge and conquest. because that does not transfer well into romantic relationships. And here's another reason why it won't transfer well in the sense of why it doesn't work out this way. Is because once a man is emotionally invested, and when I say emotionally invested, more specifically, he is in love with a woman or he is deeply into a woman, all right? He is emotionally invested to where he is now emotionally vulnerable. This idea of him wanting to chase and have a challenge goes completely out the window. If you were to survey men, and I'm saying you can go talk to men who are family members, friends, whoever, who have ever been in love. And this is very important. You can't ask a man who's never been deeply into a woman because, again, he in that situation may remain in that conquer mindset challenge, and he'll actually validate this idea that men just want a challenge. No, talk to a man who's been deeply in love or into a woman and ask them, did you want the woman you were deeply into to be a challenge? Did you want her to make you chase after her? You're going to get no's. The majority of men, if not all of them, will say no. Because now when you are in that state of being emotionally invested, because let me back this up a little bit, because some of y'all may look at chase very differently. One, remember that chasing is very much a one-sided affair. All right. It is essentially, there is resistance on one side, or there is, as I mentioned earlier, obstacles that one may put up because you have to pursue that. And again, these words, pursue, chase, all these things, I feel like they get really mixed up, and that's what changes people's perception of it. So let's throw away the word chase for a second and just look at it like this. If you make the man have to jump through hoops, if you give him resistance, if you are not making a mutual effort with him, this will all fall under the title of chasing, as I'm speaking about it. And when you are doing that to a man who is actually serious about you, your resistance hurts. Your resistance makes him question, are you really interested? Your resistance can give him flashbacks to the last time he got played. And we'll get into that as well. So much goes wrong now when this is being applied to someone who is serious about you. If you're just trying to make the guy who is just infatuated with you, who just wants to have sex with you, let's just call it out for what it is, then it doesn't have the same downfall. It doesn't have the same issues, but that already is an unhealthy dynamic. All right. But when you're doing it to the guy who cares genuinely, you're going to set yourself up for more failure. And so you've got to really ask yourself, again, if it was you, if we turned the tables, would you want a man who you're really into to make you chase him? Of course not. Now, again, some of y'all might say, well, we're the women, he's the man, so it's different. I get it. But again, when we're applying love, genuine interest, being actually emotionally invested on this level, nobody wants to deal with that. So you run into a lot of problems and you start to plant a lot of negative seeds when you embrace this mindset of cheating. So going back to the question that the woman in the DMs asked me, when a man is the right guy, you don't have to do all this with him. But I'm going to put a pin in that. I'm going to explain more of that later. Let's break down more of this making him chase you.